Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to another live episode of Conscious Leadership. This time it's called Do You Know Your Own Strength? Do you know that song? It's a song by Whitney Houston. It's called I Didn't Know My Own Strength. If you don't know it, go and listen to it. The lyrics are very interesting. I called today's episode, Do You Know Your Own Strength? Because I was inspired by what happened today with a client of mine. And it's something that I've had experienced many years ago. And I know that when you get to experience something like this, it changes things. Like you should mark that in your calendar because it's a turning point. And so what happened was this is a client and he's been with me for over a year now. This is somebody that I usually don't take clients like that, but this just entered into my world. And he is somebody that is like really the effect of this reality. It's what Access Consciousness calls X-Men. It's what in this reality is being labeled as autism. It's somebody who just has trouble functioning in this reality. He lost his job. He lost his house. Unhappy in relationships, all these kinds of things. And so he came to me. And of course, there was no doubt in our mind that he was very powerful, right? Otherwise, why would he be so wrong in this reality? Like what's right about him that this reality is not getting, or what's right about him that he is not getting? And so really fast in like the first couple of sessions, I noticed his capacity. I noticed how fast he was. I noticed how quick he was and how big his capacity was, how big his awareness was. But there were so many things from this world that were keeping him in low frequency that he had so much trouble coming out. So we worked on that with a lot of good results. A lot of changes. And today we did a session where I was teaching him how to connect with the beings of light, how to connect with the archangels. And I just teach him how to sit in that meditation, and I meditate with him, but I teach him in a way that he can do it on his own. And as we were doing that, we start by telling him to breathe, telling him to lower his walls and barriers, telling him to expand his space, to shine his light. And then I started asking, like, how many beings for your highest good want to come in? And he's like, well, there are 3. No, sorry. First, he started by saying, there are all these dark forces. There are all these dark beings that just want to come in. And I was like, oh, really? I was like, do you have your light? Have you expanded and you've expanded your light? And he's like, yeah, I just did that. And my light is completely on. And I was like, okay, well, cool. You know what? Invite them in. Tell them to come in. See what happens. And so he did. He invited him in. And instantly, that being was killed. He's like, he's dead. He's dead. He's gone. And I was like, oh, really? Like I didn't know. And so there were more. And I said, okay, well, what would happen if you would invite them in? And he's like, yeah, they don't want to come in. They're actually looking for other entrances to see if they can come in any other way. And I said, are they succeeding? And he's like, no, they're trying to find another entrance, but there is no way in. There's no safe place for them. Wherever they will come into my space, they will be killed. And I was like, that's right. And that's because of your light. And the thing that happened here, the thing that he realized was that in order for us to kill darkness, we only have to be our light. And we cannot keep our light dimmed, because when we keep our light dimmed, that's where we have dark place in our space, and they can just come in and they can just hang out there. But the moment you decide, I will shine my light to the fullest in my space, my complete space everywhere around me, that's where they cannot come in. Or if they do come in, they will die. So this was for him a very important turning point, because we were talking about how this appears in normal life. Because I said, now you're in a kind of meditation, you communicate with the energy, you visualize the energies. Of course, that's not always how we are in daily life. But I said, these shadow forces will come through people. They'll come through thoughts. They'll come through emotions. They'll come through people at work trying to bully you. They'll come through family trying to bring you down, right? With him, they came in the past through people in school, children in school wanting to bully him. So I said, you need to be able to recognize where other people are listening to the whispers of the devil. They're listening to the whispers of these demons, because all these demons are trying to do is to get into your space. And they will get into your space if you allow them. And that's where you are not shining your light. So that's where my question came from. Like, do you know how powerful you are? Do you know your own strength? Because after this session, he and I were sitting down and we were talking about it. I said, how easy was that for you? It's like easy, like I didn't even have to do anything. Like I didn't do anything to kill that dark force. It just came into my space and it vanished, it vaporized. So your strength, your power is nothing but your light, which is already so powerful. It also keeps them away, because another thing that happened is when this happened, we invited in the beings of light that were here to contribute. And so he's like, yeah, there are 3, 2 are coming in, but he's like, the last one says he cannot come in because, 2 is enough. I'm like, really? Is that true? Is 2 enough? Like, if he wants to come in, we can invite 3. I mean, we can invite 300 if we want, if we really want to. And he's like, no, he doesn't want to come in. I said, oh, all right, okay, so what's his name? And he came with some kind of name, like, I don't know, they always have silly names. I said, okay, cool. Can you ask him if he's coming from light or darkness? And he said, both. He's coming from light and darkness. Interesting. Like that's possible. And so the next question was, or tell him, not a question, but just tell him, command him to show his light. And that's where he kept silent. I said, what's happening? He's like, he's not doing it. I said, he's not doing it because he's not able. If he carries the light, he will show his light. No problem. And so he didn't. And I said, that means he's not coming from light. But that also makes sense that he doesn't want to enter your space, because you know what happens when he enters your space. And I said, so now he's like right out of your space, just on the edge of where your space is. I said, what if you would decide to expand? like become even bigger, because we can become even bigger. So what would happen? Just make yourself bigger. And he's like, oh, he took off. He just ran off. He's gone. I'm like, of course, if you decide to become even bigger and shine your light throughout your whole space, he's gonna die. Like he knows he's gonna die. And I said, this is where your power is too. Like, what is stronger? And he's like, well, my light is stronger. He's afraid of my light. So yeah, that's right. He is afraid of your light. It's that easy. And then we came to the point where he said, well, sometimes it just makes me afraid. Like I could be afraid of my light. And I said, well, are you afraid of your light? Or are you just aware that these demons are afraid of your light? And he's like, oh yeah, I'm afraid of I'm aware of their fear. Like, right. So you're not, why would you be afraid of your own light? You are light. There's nothing to be afraid of. And your light is powerful, and your light protects you. It protects you in that way. Like protection is always a word that I don't always want to use, but in this case, it might be suitable. And this was a good session for him. Like he actually came to a place where he could acknowledge his power. He came to a place where he could see how powerful he is and what his power can do for the goodness of things. And I told him, I said, well, you're going to have to mark this session, because you're going to look back someday and you're going to say that was a turning point. That's how I knew things changed for me. And that's how I knew I just stood different in life. And I just wanted to share that here because for me, it was a very important turning point when I came to the realization of, really, I can do that. And then they just vanish. They just vaporize by just me being me. I don't even have to fight. I don't even have to do anything. I don't have to say anything. And that changed everything for me. And I know it will change everything for him. And I'm sharing this, first of all, because I'm sharing. And I'm sharing this because I know that there are not many people that realize this. There are not many people that actually do this as an exercise. And perhaps this is my shout out to you. Like, do this as an exercise. Make sure that you choose to create a moment like this, to be able to see it, feel it, know it, experience it. And this will help you in all kinds of ways. I mean, even if you have issues with your family, if you have issues, trouble at work, if you have people harassing you, if you have all these things in your life where you're like, oh, I'm dealing with all kinds of stuff and I just cannot seem to get rid of it, or it never ends. It's because those are the demonic forces. They are the distractions of life. Because if you're distracted in life, you're not focusing on what you really need to do in life. So it's so easy to throw all these distractions at us. And this is what I always say, like, evil doesn't come in the shape of evil. That would make too much sense, because then you would move around it, walk away from it. You would stay away from it. Evil finds place in our world because it comes in disguise, and it comes as something small. And that is how it finds place in our lives, in our space. And like I said, it comes through voices, it comes through emotions, it comes through people. And it just keeps on going. Because if you haven't filled your complete space up with your light, they will use the shadow spots to sit there and attack you where you can be attacked. And again, a demonic attack is not always something really heavy. It can just be something that is uncomfortable. It's just something that keeps you busy, because that's all it needs to do. It just needs to keep you busy, distracted from what it is that you really need to be doing. And then it's fine, because then it buys time, right? It slows us down. And that's the only card they get to play, because sometimes it can destroy people, but most people are not destroyed. Most people are just distracted. Pure distraction. So let's clear all of that for what might be required in the world right now. Let's destroy and uncreate all of the distractions that are created, invented, and that we decided we need so we don't have to be our full potential. Because that's another thing that we do, right, wrong, good, bad, boys, boys, poets, and beyonds. Our natural way is up. Like our natural flow is up to the high frequency. But if we find a reason to not be in the high frequency, let's say we are afraid to be in the high frequency, or what I spoke about the other day, where I said, we are not willing to be all of us because we don't want to receive the judgments. So if we've decided we don't want to be all of us and we don't want to be in that frequency, but the natural way is up, then we have to come up with ways to stay down. We have to invent things in this world that keep us in low frequency, so we don't make the natural movement of going up. And then you wonder why. Like, I think I want to go up. Like, I want to be in high frequency. Don't I want to be in high frequency? Be so honest with yourself. Be brutally honest with yourself. Because many times, no, right? We're not really willing. We're not willing to be all of it. We're afraid we will be judged. We're afraid we're going to lose people. There are all these reasons and justifications why we're not choosing it. And that's okay, because you're not alone. We all do that. It's just when you acknowledge that that is what you're choosing, that is where you can change it. So allow yourself to have a good look at this. What are you inventing in your world so you can stay in the low frequency? Because if you are in a low frequency where there's shame and blame and guilt or anger or resentment or any other distraction, like you're just working, or, all these things in relationship, whether it's a romantic relationship or relationship with family, parents, whatever, that you're all caught up in. Anything that keeps you busy, anything where you're not flowing, where you're not being you, anywhere where you're not enjoying every freaking moment of the day, even in hard times, there is space to enjoy the day. Have a look at it. Don't pretend like this is part of life. Many people are like, well, it's part of life. There are things, there are difficulties. We need to go through that, hardships, blah, 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 blah. Yes and no. Like, yes, we need to go through things, absolutely. But we don't have to repeat them all the time. We really don't. Sometimes we're in this revolving door and we just keep going and we keep going and we keep going, and we forget that there is a way out on the other side. We just need to decide that on the right timing, we step out. You need to choose. But you also have to become aware of what you're doing. Are you in that revolving door? And if you are, what else can you be? What else can you choose? What else is possible that you haven't considered? Like, even if it's like, yeah, but there's nothing that I can do. It just happens to me. It's just, like, nothing just happens to you, right? Everything is a choice. Everything is a result of a choice that we've made. So if things keep happening to you and you're in that loop, are you willing to kind of just let go? Say like, fuck it, whatever this is not my reality. Like, what is my reality here? What is my reality with this? It's not this. And today I'm going to decide that I'm not doing this anymore. No, it's going to stop today. And right now I'm going to choose to walk out that revolving door, and I'm not going to be in that loop again. I've seen this too many times. No, thank you. And that exercise by switching on your light, filling up your space, and knowing, seeing, experiencing what your light will do to the shadow, what your light will do to the demonic forces. It's powerful. It's powerful. I can tell you this, but if you've never experienced it, you're not fully going to know your strength. So try it. If you need my help or you need some suggestions, message me. Maybe with this, what I've said, you can do it on your own. Try it. Let me know. I hope this helps. And I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.